today we're actually going to go back and do an objection that wasn't on the original list, and it's an objection that's going to be exclusively for APs on your way to print, and that is, I love the magazine, but I want to wait till it's in print before I come on board. And a lot of times this is legitimate. You know, some people need to see it before they can be convinced. They've been fooled before by magazines that said they were going to print, or video they were going to happen, and all kinds of things. Now, one of the main things to remind people of in this situation is they don't pay anything till it happens. So there is no risk of that. A lot of people, even though we think they get that, they often don't, because if you think your presentation, do you ever specifically let them know that they don't pay anything until the magazine happens? So the first thing you want to do is, I've seen a lot of cases where people just were leaving that out. And the moment you make that very clear that, hey, there's no risk, if you're going to come on board when it happens, there's no risk. If it doesn't happen, you never pay anything. Make sure they fully understand that, because a lot of times we assume they understand that and they don't. So first of all, make sure that's the case. The second thing to realize is some of these people are just using that as a blow off. So that is entirely possible. So just know that some of that's just the case. Don't expect every person that tells you they're going to sign when you go to print to sign when you go to print, because that just isn't the experience that we generally have. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that you can always predate their contract. What I mean by that is if they have some concerns about their current finances, but they will, by the end of the year have money available, then just simply say, hey, I want to make sure you have the opportunity to be the expert funeral home. So let's do this. If that's something you really like and you said you do, then let's don't take a chance on someone else stepping into that role. Let's go ahead and get you signed up today, but we won't start the agreement until January. And get that signature, because you can do that often. And then that gives them plenty of time. And then also remind them that if it doesn't happen by then, they won't pay anything. But that will also cushion them, because the truth is, when you're starting a magazine, you don't know when it's going to happen. So make sure that they understand that if you don't pay, if you don't go to print, there will never pay anything. So there is zero risk. I mean, so you can reinforce that over and over and over again. Now, the other thing to remember is almost every single time somebody goes to print, when we actually run the address lists, it's usually a few more homes than what the estimate is that you guys go by on your rates. So almost instantly when you go to print, the rates are going to go up. So remind them that this is the lowest the rates will ever be. And once they lock them in, then they will be the rates from now on. So it's going to cost them more to come on once the magazine's in print. And just make sure they're aware of that. And also make sure that they're aware that there is no hold on that expert spot, that you could sign one of their competitors to be that expert tomorrow. The other thing you can come in is you can bring in the charter sponsorships. Now, I know right now we don't talk about the charter sponsorships initially, but those are an option that you have to close those deals. And make sure they understand that being one of the sponsors that helps create the magazine is always going to put their business elevated among the other businesses in the magazine, because they are a charter sponsor. And that very first issue has the names of all the businesses that made the magazine possible. So it really is a true, you gave back to the community by helping create this magazine in the first place. And that is always going to carry a stronger emotional connection to our readers than people who come on later. Because what we do more than anything else is give businesses or give customers a reason to pick your business over a competitor, And nothing does that more than for these readers who grow to love the magazine to know that the magazine exists because your business made that possible. And if they wait till after you launch, they don't get that part of the warm fuzzies from the experience. And just drive that home, because that is so powerful. And being a charter sponsor, you know, from now on, 15, 20 years from now, after the magazine is thoroughly embedded into the culture of the community, they will still be recognized as one of the businesses that helped create the magazine in the first place. And that is going to be a powerful message that they get to send to that community from now on. And so make sure they fully understand the magnitude of what being a part of something from the beginning has. And, you know, if you could always, if you want to have some kind of way of bringing it to the forefront, go into a local community bank. And in every community bank, there is usually a steel plate on the wall or something, and it lists all of the people who helped found that bank. And that becomes the foundational. So people who go to that bank 100 years from now will see the list of the names that helped found that bank and bring it to the community. That's what being a charter sponsor in our magazine does. People, you know, years from now will be reminded that your business made this possible. And that is something that they miss out on if they choose to not do that. Now, all that being said, the absolute best way to handle that objection is to prevent it from ever happening in the first place. And one of the things that I have found is the reason that objection comes up is because we use the word new. The word new scares the pee out of people, because no one wants to be a part of something new because it's scary. It might not work. Oh my God, it might not work. And people are terrified by that. But all we have to do is change that in our presentation to say we are not that we're bringing a new magazine to the area, but that we have 1,200 magazines around communities all across the country, and we are now expanding into this community, because that's an entirely different beast. Because a successful, something that's working in 1,200 other markets that's expanding into this community is a lot less scary than something that's new in this community. And make sure you use that language, because that makes all the difference in the world. And just by saying expanding, then that opens the door for you to be able to show examples from other cities and different things, saying, here's kind of a sample what it looks like over here. This is what we're doing now. We're expanding this to be here locally. And that will take that objection off the table in most situations.